What are the prerequisites to success? Look, there are certain things that you must do in your life in order to become successful. So what are the steps that you can take from now to where you want to be, right? What are the next steps that you have to take to get there, right? What do you need to do? Who do you need to become, right? What kind of traits do you have to develop? I'll describe all those traits in this video. First trait that you must develop if you don't like where you are right now is to completely upend your life. Everything you know must change, right? And of course, look, things like family and the people that really matter, those can stay constant. But everything else around you, if you're not leveling up, it's because the people around you aren't leveling up. So that's the first place. Get rid of that. Surround yourself with new people. That's the first prerequisite. You must surround yourself with people who are winners, who are ahead of you, right? You always want to be the person that's least able in the room, who has the least amount of ability. You want everyone else around you to be more successful, more ahead of you in all the areas that you want to improve in. Whether it's getting in better shape, if you want to get in better shape, surround yourself with people who are jacked and shredded, right? If you want to become more wealthy, surround yourself with people who are wealthier than you. If you want to have a great relationship and a great marriage, surround yourself with people who have great marriages, right? It's pretty simple, that task. So that's the first thing that you must do. And it's the one thing that I find people avoid doing the most, right? Because people are afraid of being lonely, right? I went into solitude for a long time, and I know some other people who did as well. Everyone I know who's successful went through the same period of isolation and loneliness, right? Because you're going down a certain path, right? And then all of a sudden one day something happens to you, right? It could be, there's a scale of how bad you might think something is, but usually it's some kind of bad event that happens in your life that makes you rethink your perspective. You start to think, you know what? Life is short. I have one opportunity here to do something great. Am I doing the right things right now? Am I around the right people? Am I around people who are going to make me more successful, who are going to lift me up? Right? Are the people I'm surrounding myself with, are they increasing my stats or decreasing my stats? And by stats, I mean health, wealth, relationships. Right? If they are affecting any of those three areas in a bad way, out. And it's that cutthroat. All right, that's how you have to be. It has to be that way, and you can't have any ifs, ands, or buts about it. People are so scared. They hang around their same old friends who are going nowhere in life because they're scared of the idea of being alone, right? Little do you know that in that period of isolation and solitude is where you're really going to be able to speak to yourself, understand yourself, ask yourself, hey, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? Is what I'm doing right now really going to make my life look like that? And if it's not, it's time to change some things, right? The next thing, you must eradicate all things that are bad for your physical and mental health, okay? So if you are, let's just talk about some things that I used to do, which were complete bullshit items, right? I used to vape. First of all, if you think that by inhaling some heated up, fake artificial nicotine spiked juice, you are not gonna have some kind of health problem, that is unbelievable to me. I think in the long term, there's gonna be massive long-term implications to the people who vape, right? Because this is just a testing period right now. It hasn't been going on that long, only in this century, right? But long term, watch. And things have already happened to people who have vaped, right? They've developed health problems. But in the long term, watch things happen. Watch things happen very badly. Things are going to end very badly for them. That's the first thing. And also, nicotine is so stupid, right? Because you need that little stick of nicotine all day to be able to function. Otherwise, you have anxiety and stress. Little do you know that that little stick of nicotine is delivering you the anxiety and stress in the first place. You think it's relieving it, but it's actually bringing it to you. That's the first thing. I used to smoke weed too. But, this is another drug that is so dumb. People are like, oh, I can function while smoking weed. Smoking weed's not a big deal. It's legal, right? No, wrong. Look, sure, Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg have a lot of money and they smoke weed, right? Good for them. You're not Wiz Khalifa or Snoop Dogg. Stop trying to justify your weed habits by looking at people who have some financial success for smoking weed. I don't understand that. Like, you are not going to be successful if you smoke weed every night, and you can't fall asleep without smoking weed. All right? Unless you're a rapper. I don't think most of you watching this video are going to be rappers. So, cut that out completely. Pornography. Next. Terrible habit. I think it's one of the worst things that has ever happened to young men. Ever. It's ruining our psychology. It's ruining our relationships with women. Right? It's disgusting. Right? And it's having us live in a false world. Right? Where we're watching an interaction that is not an interaction that would be normal in real life. But when we watch that interaction, we think it is normal. So we replicate that in real life thinking it's okay, but it's not. Right? And it screws with your mind. It becomes an addiction. And every day, when you're stressed, you go to all of these dumb things to relieve your stress rather than going into the gym and working out or meditating for 20 minutes. These are things to relieve stress and anxiety in a healthy manner, and which is actually going to have positive impacts long term. Not the smoking weed, not the nicotine, not the pornography. All these things are going to ruin you. They're going to ruin your mind. Okay? And I'm not trying to sound like you're a parent right now, but I think some of you need this. Some of you need this harsh criticism because I used to be there. I'm only 20 now, but just 2 years ago, I'm in that position. A little over 2 years ago now. But I was there. I was there where you are right now. Right? I was a bum. I was a bum 2.5 years ago. I had no motivation. I was depressed. Right? I would just smoke weed every day to let the days just go by really quickly. Hopefully the days could just blend. Right? And I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel like I was even present anywhere. Wherever I was just a shell. It was disgusting. And I think so many young men are in this position nowadays, and I want to help you guys climb out of that because it's so dark. It's so dark and depressing. Now we have to move into the next stage of our lives. We have to transcend. Right? And I think it's always the people who go down into the darkest depths, the abyss, that climb up to be the greatest people in our society. So many people who I know who are successful in life, they were in the worst positions. Drug addicts, no father in the house, right? Abuse, whatever it may be, traumatic experiences. But what they did was not become a victim of their circumstances, but use those circumstances to their advantage. And say, you know what, I went through all this shit. Now nothing can hurt me. Nothing's hard anymore. No task is difficult because I've already gone through all of that. I've been beaten. I've been bruised. Right? I've suffered. Right? Like me. Last year, look, a lot of people have suffered worse than me. I'm very blessed in my life to have grown up the way I grew up. But I've suffered in my own ways. Right? And last year is just one example of me suffering. My appendix rupturing. Losing 30 pounds in 10 days. Right? I put all my value on the way I looked. Right? I cared so much about my physique, my aesthetic, my physical health. And then all of a sudden, my ability to work out got taken from me in an instant. In an instant. Imagine you have all your self-worth tied up in that one thing and it gets ripped from you. Well, that's what happened to me. But through that experience, I learned something about myself. I learned that I am the most resilient person out there. That no matter what happens to me, I can fight and push past it. Even when I was in the hospital, I was saying to myself, watch who you become after this. Watch the kind of person you turn into. Watch the kind of impact you're going to make on people's lives. Telling them that no matter what happens, you can climb out and become stronger. I was thinking that when I was in the hospital bed, suffering, in pain, with drains hanging out the side of me, with a catheter in me. If you don't know what that is, it's horrible. Horrible. I don't want anyone to have to experience this shit. It's brutal. And my stomach extended, in pain, throwing up green slime at night because I had all this infectious bile inside of me from a ruptured appendix. It was like the devil had overtaken my body. But I rose up and I found a connection with God, and from that day forward, I've never been the same. I've never been the same. I have not hardened myself. I cry. And I don't do it in front of people. I do it alone sometimes. And it happens a lot to me out of inspiration for people who I watch sometimes. I watch people for inspiration, people who've done great things in this world, and I see how much they've suffered too, and the kind of person they've turned into from that suffering. And it always reassures me that these moments, these hardest moments in our lives are actually the greatest moments where we transcend our being and we turn into unbelievable forces of nature. So look, these are the prerequisites to becoming successful. You must suffer. You must completely upend everything around you. And you must develop the habits and traits of successful people. It's really simple. Look at what people who are successful are doing in whatever way you define success, right? People that you look up to. Ask them, what do they do on a daily basis? And do the same. And do it even better, right? To outdo them. And that's the mission. I want to thank you for watching today's video. Got big things on the way with the Discipline Institute. We're going to help young men break out of the confines that society has currently put them in. If you're watching this right now, you're a young man. I understand it. I'm 20 still. I was there. But I had to escape. I had to escape the mental torture that they put me through for so long to become the man that I am now. Someone I'm proud of when I look at him in the mirror. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, man, look at how far you've come. You're getting better every day in every single way, and no one can stop you. You're going to turn into a force of nature, my friend. The Discipline Institute is going to help you do that. It's going to help you break free from the confines of society. I want to thank you for watching today's video. Like and comment if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. I'm grateful for you. Bye.